The soft hum of fluorescent lights in the early morning began to flicker to life, casting an artificial glow across the pristine lobby. Marcus Mitchell stepped into the gleaming space of the corporate headquarters, a place he had painstakingly built from scratch. Dressed in a humble navy jumpsuit and clutching a mop, he appeared to be the far cry from the powerful CEO he truly was. The well-tailored suits, sharp demeanor, and commanding presence that typically defined him were gone, replaced by the inconspicuous appearance of a janitor. He blended effortlessly into the background, like a shadow among the very structures he had created. For a long time, Marcus had suspected something was wrong within the company culture, especially when it came to the treatment of lower-level employees. He'd overheard whispers, picked up on the high turnover rates among janitorial staff, and noted the cold, distant attitudes from managerial positions. Something didn't sit right. It was then that he realized it was time to experience it firsthand. Thus, he hatched a plan to go undercover, to observe the true nature of his company without the veil of his executive title. As the early morning rush began, employees poured into the building, each deeply absorbed in their own worlds. Marcus quietly moved across the marble floors, his mop swishing with a soft sound, unnoticed by most, ignored by many. A few employees offered polite smiles, but the majority passed by without so much as a glance. That was when Mr. Davis, the office manager, arrived. A tall, imposing figure in his mid-40s, with a permanent scowl etched on his face, Davis walked toward Marcus. His expensive suit exuded arrogance as he approached. "Hey, janitor," he barked. "You missed a spot." His finger pointed to a stain that wasn't even there. Marcus nodded silently. His gaze focused on the floor and continued his work without acknowledging the insult. His resolve remained strong, as he had expected such behavior. Throughout the rest of the morning, Davis seized every opportunity to belittle Marcus. With sarcasm dripping from his words, he found joy in making Marcus's job even harder. Once even knocking over a cup of coffee just to watch him clean it up. Encouraged by Davis's behavior, other employees started to join in. They snickered behind Marcus's back, laughing at his expense. But Marcus didn't react. He simply kept his head down, observing quietly, learning more with every insult and sneer. However, it was an incident later in the day that truly solidified Marcus's decision to make a change. An elderly janitor, Henry, was struggling to push a heavy cart of cleaning supplies down the hall when Davis approached. A smirk twisted on his face. "Need some help, old man?" Davis asked mockingly, feigning concern before breaking into laughter. Maybe it's time for retirement. The humiliation on Henry's face was unmistakable. His eyes lowered in embarrassment, but he didn't protest. He just continued his work. It was in that moment that Marcus knew. The culture of this company was broken, and it had to change immediately. As the day dragged on, Marcus continued to endure the insults, the dismissive attitudes, and the relentless mistreatment. But he also noticed the rare moments of kindness, the employees who showed respect, those who stood apart from the cruelty. It was time for a shift. The clock struck 5, and Marcus knew the moment had come to act. He gathered everyone in the conference room, Mr. Davis included. As he stood before them in his janitor's uniform, he spoke, his voice calm but with a firmness that carried authority. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "I'd like to introduce myself properly. My name is Marcus Mitchell, and I am the CEO of this company." A stunned silence immediately fell over the room. Some employees gasped audibly. Others exchanged shocked and nervous glances. Davis's face drained of color as realization began to dawn on him. "For the past day," Marcus continued, his voice cutting through the tension, "I've had the privilege of observing how employees treat those they perceive as beneath them." His gaze fixed on Davis, sharp and unwavering. "And let me tell you, I am deeply disappointed, particularly in you, Mr. Davis." Davis opened his mouth, ready to protest, but Marcus raised a hand, halting him. "I've witnessed your blatant disrespect toward the janitorial staff. Your behavior has created a toxic work environment, and that's something I will not tolerate within my company." Without another word, Marcus handed down his verdict. "Mr. Davis, you are suspended indefinitely, pending a full review of your conduct." Then, turning to the others who had joined in the bullying, Marcus spoke again. "As for the rest of you, there will be mandatory sensitivity training to ensure that this kind of behavior is never repeated." But the changes wouldn't stop there. Marcus promised new policies that would be put in place. Policies that would ensure that every employee, regardless of their position, would be treated with dignity and respect. As the meeting drew to a close, Marcus removed his janitor's jumpsuit, revealing the well-tailored suit he had been wearing underneath all along. He walked out of the conference room, leaving behind a company that had been irrevocably changed and a lesson that would stick with them for a long time. True power, he had learned, doesn't come from titles or positions. It comes from how you treat others, especially those who have no reason to fear you. And with that, Marcus left the room, walking toward a future where respect was the foundation of everything. Thank you for listening to the story. I hope it resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments below.